everyone, it's Stephanie here, and today I have a card to share that I've created with the April Simon Says Stamp card kit, Everyday Happy. What I've decided to do is just create a white card base with the white cardstock that's come in the kit. I just cut it into a standard size card of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And my plan is to put a black strip of cardstock, you can see here, down this one side of the card, a little bit off center, and then to border each side of it with a small strip of the aqua pool colored paper that comes in the kit. And this kit has a lot of great yellows and aquas and grays and blacks, perfect color combination, which can be used for either a feminine or a masculine card. And what I noticed in one of the pattern papers, these little circles here, is this heart punch fits perfectly in the different patterns of paper that creates those little circles there. So what I've decided to do is die cut a whole bunch of hearts, which I've already done. And what I like about these is that because they are being die cut out of the pattern paper that's already done in the small circles, the patterns are really tiny, so they look really good as the heart die cuts. So what I'm going to do is use this stamp set here that fits perfectly across this black piece that I've already cut, and I'm just going to layer the hearts above and below the sentiment once I have that on that black piece there. So to help make that stand out, I've decided to stamp it in Versamark and then white heat emboss it versus just stamping it. You could just use white stamping ink. Memories has a good one. Unicorn, I think, is what it's called. And Colorbox has one called Frost White. Those would both work well to put this sentiment in white as well. But I've decided to heat emboss it just so that it's a little bit more crisp and just stands out a little bit better. So I just lined my strip of cardstock there up with my grid on my mat and stamped that across. And now I'm just going to go ahead and put my white heat embossing powder on there. I like to use the Hero Arts. It gives great detail, especially for sentiments that are small like this. The letters are still very defined. So I'm just going to go ahead there and heat emboss that and set that. And then I'm going to pick all the different hearts that I've cut out and just kind of play around with them and arrange them until they're into a pattern that I like. I just kind of put a bunch, all different ways, and played around with it. So I didn't tape all of that because I'm sure you didn't want to see how long it actually took me to get them into a pattern that I like. I'm a little bit nuts like that. So once I had everything exactly how I wanted them, I just went ahead and adhered them all to the card, which you're going to see here now. They're fully adhered. I just used my T-square ruler and laid that across the card to help line them up and get them perfectly spaced across. So now that everything's on here, I have a little bit of a border on the top and the bottom of the hearts where I have some blank space, but I wanted this piece to go completely from the top of the card right to the bottom. So I've decided to just go ahead and cut that out the exact width of the card and then use the washi tape that comes in the kit and just adhere that to the top and bottom to create a little bit of a fun little border. So I just used my grid mat once again and lined that up and then just trimmed off the sides and then folded the top piece over onto the back of that panel. And then once I did that for the top piece, I really liked it, so I decided to go ahead and do the same thing on the bottom. And it gives it a really nice defined edge when you just fold it over versus cutting it off. So I did that once again. I just adhered it on using my grid line and then cut the edges off and then just folded that right over on the bottom. And then once that was completely adhered on there, I just went ahead and adhered the whole piece right onto my card front. And then once that is adhered on, I'm just going to go ahead and add the 2 aqua strips that I have already pre-cut. I could have put just a whole piece of the aqua cardstock underneath that was slightly bigger, but I didn't want the added bulk of the cardstock under the card, so I decided just to go ahead and use the strips. So I really like the look that it provides when you use just little strips like that to kind of help the panel piece there that you're adding stand out. So like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that onto here and then go ahead and put those strips on. My favorite adhesive when using the strips is the Tombow Mono Multi Glue. It's a great permanent glue and it comes out in a nice small line, so it's real easy to just run it up along the edge of the cardstock piece there and just go ahead and put your 2 strips right on top. And I always like to leave them longer and then just trim them off once I have them adhered on. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those on there. And then what I plan on doing, and you'll see when we come up into the video, is I felt like the card was a little bit too plain, but I didn't want to get overly embellishy with it. So what I decided to do is I'm just going to go ahead and use glossy accents and put that on some of the hearts on the front of the card. I just kind of started in the top left-hand corner and then just kind of went diagonally down and then went the other way diagonally and just did one heart in each row. So once I've cut these little pieces off, you'll see that I'm going to do that with the glossy accents on the hearts. And then I didn't like how square the card ended up looking. I felt that it would look nicer with the rounded corners, just to kind of mimic the curves in the hearts. So to finish the card off, I also rounded all of the corners too, and ended up really liking that. Normally when I round the corners, I don't like to use the 1/2 inch rounder. It seems a little bit too big for me. So I tend to stick with the 1/4 inch, and I really, really like how that turns out on a card once you use that for the corner rounding. So there I'm just using, like I said, I'm just using the glossy accents, and it's great. It won't run off the paper at all. Just take your time and kind of just move the tip around and fully cover the heart, and then it'll dry perfectly and leave you with a nice epoxy looking shape. It's a great, inexpensive way to add a little bit of something to a card without a lot of bulk. And then that will finish the card. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next month.